everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I want to read by the end of the year. It's my EOY TBR. I have 12 books on my radar. I like to call the TBR like to be radar. That doesn't really make any sense. They're on my radar. I'm not necessarily committed to finishing these books by a certain time, but they're on my radar. They're books I want to read by the end of the year. This is kind of the pool of books that I want to choose from. They're ones that I'm really excited about reading. Let's get right into it. First of all, I am in a Sarah J. Maas chokehold. I just finished Asimov like last week, the second in the ACOTAR series. If you haven't seen my reading vlog, Reading ACOTAR for the first time, you can go check it out. I just finished Asimov, the second one in the series, and then I just started ACOWAR, which is the third one. I'm probably like 100-ish pages in. This is obviously a book that I want to finish by the end of the year. It's 700 pages. I think I could do it, especially because I'm listening to the book and also reading the physical copy. I'm alternating between the two, which makes it go a lot faster. I'm so excited. How I know I like a book. Let me just say this. How I know that a book is going to be like a 4 or 5 stars is that I want to read the entire thing right now, but I also want to savor it and I want it to last. So that's what I'm experiencing through this book. I want to finish it literally right now. I want to literally just put it all in my brain in one go, but I also want to savor it because I know this moment's not going to last forever. So there's actually this TikToker that I found who talked about the reading order that you should read Sarah J. Maas's books in. Her method made the most sense to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I instantly trusted her with my life. So she recommends to read the first 3 books in this series, take a break, read Throne of Glass, and then come back to the last 2 in ACOTAR. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts if you've read this series. Do you think I should read all of ACOTAR first, or do you think I should switch to Throne of Glass in between and then finish the other 2 books after Throne of Glass? Let me know in the comments below. But on that note, I want to finish this book by the end of the year, and then I want to start Throne of Glass. Now, there's a big debate online over which book I should start with, whether it's The Assassin's Blade or Throne of Glass. The Assassin's Blade is like the prequel and a bunch of novellas before Throne of Glass. The people that are online that I trust the most say to read Assassin's Blade first, but I'm very curious if you've read this series, what you think. If I should read that third, I think is the other option. In the way that it came out originally, that prequel was third. It came out third maybe. So people read it at that point, and so it like gives backstory to the first few books, but people think that that backstory is really important to understand and like have more of an appreciation for those first few books. Let me know in the comments below if you've read that series and what you think. My goal would be to finish ACOWAR and then go into Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass. I feel like I could do it depending on how the other books go. The rest of the books are not Sarah J. Maas books because I am being realistic here. I think I'm gonna want, I don't know how far I'm gonna get in the Sarah J. Maasiverse like without taking a break. I might want a break, but I might not because I haven't yet so far. I tried to take a break in between Asimov and ACOWAR. I couldn't pick up another book. I needed to continue this series. Like I couldn't think about anything else. So here we are. I wonder how long that's gonna last. Before we get back into the video, I wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in design and tech and business and so much more. If you know me, you know that I have a new interest or hobby every few months, so that's why I've used Skillshare as my one-stop shop to learn all new technical skills or editing skills or music skills. It has everything. So that's why I've gone to Skillshare for any little gap in my technique or my skill that I might be missing. It's a place to get inspired and learn new skills and apply those skills in impactful ways. If you use my link in the description below, you can get 1 free month of Skillshare. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Let's talk about the other non-Sarah J. Maas books that I'm very interested in reading. Some of these are releases that haven't come out yet. Let me talk about one very obvious book that I think we need to get out of the way because obviously I'm dying to read it, and that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. It is the second in the Fourth Wing series. It's coming out November 7th. I'm so excited to read this book. I have been reading like sections of Fourth Wing to kind of remind myself of it. My cousin's reading it right now, so I'm experiencing it through her. And I'm so excited to read the second one. I'm also like not actually nervous, but a little nervous because like I hope it lives up to, you know, I don't know. I hope it lives up to the hype and like in my head at least. And I hope that nothing crazy happens, if you know what I mean. I hate reading or I hate listening to all of the theories online because I'm like, shh, let's just enjoy it for what it is. And I don't want your theories to be right. I'm very excited to read Iron Flame, obviously, that's coming out November 7th. I'm obviously going to record a reading vlog for y'all and tell you all of my thoughts, so stay tuned for that. So the next book that I want to read by the end of the year is actually a book that my friend and former client wrote, which is Manifested by my dear friend Nicki. I'm so excited to read this. I'm so freaking proud of her for writing this book. So this book is about a woman named Maeve who is actually using sex magic to attract a person in her ideal life. And then there is this man who is divorced and he keeps having this recurring dream about the same woman who he doesn't know, and he's like, who is this woman? So I'm very interested to see what plays out between the two of them. I'm so proud of Nicki for writing this book. I can't wait. As you know, I love talking about like sex manifestation. I think it's so interesting and sexual energy. So this is gonna be a really fun one. I will let you guys know what I think when I read it. It sounds so interesting and so different and so fun. So congrats, Nicki, for writing this. I'm very excited to read that one. Another new release that's coming out November 7th, also the same day as Iron Flame, is Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. I read my first Ali Hazelwood book. Let's see. I read my first Ali Hazelwood book this year, which was Love Theoretically. I have not read the Love Hypothesis, which is her more popular book, but this was her release this year, and I loved it. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I thought it was just, I don't know, I loved the book boyfriend in this, and I thought it was so well written. I love her writing style. So Checkmate is her newest young adult novel, which I'm very excited to read. I don't know what it's about. I think it's about chess players, which sounds even more fun and unique. So I'm so excited to read that one. That comes out November 7th, and I'm so interested to see how she writes differently maybe for young adults, and so I'm excited about that one. So some books that are not new releases that I want to read, one of them that's not that new really is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This series is like a cowboy romance series, which is it my thing? I don't know, we're gonna have to find out. A lot of people love this series. I just want to read the series because one of the books has a main character book boyfriend that's named Jasper, and I have to get to that one. It's not this one, it's another one. So I have to read the other two, I think, first before I get to that third one, which is about Jasper. Jasper is the name of my dog, if you don't know. So it's about this like cowboy who, like a bull riding cowboy man who has this agent, and he gets himself into big trouble with the press, and his publicist sends his daughter to go monitor him at the ranch. I'm so interested. I read the first few pages of this and I put it down because I kind of wanted to read something else. I wasn't in the mood for a romance, but I could tell that I was really gonna like the writing and the story. So I am still very excited to read this, and I gotta know what happens with the cowboy, and I want to know what happens with Jasper in the next book in this series, and everybody loves this series, so I'm very intrigued to learn more about this. The next book is a fantasy romance. You might have seen me start it in my reading vlog, for my fall reading vlog, but it's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I'm stoked to read this. I hear it's enemies to lovers, fantasy, high stakes. It's very similar to Fourth Wing, people say, like gives the same energy. So I'm excited to read this. You might have seen in my reading vlog that anytime I picked it up, I would like read it and fall asleep because the print I think is small. I don't know why. It wasn't catching me in the first chapter, but that doesn't mean I'm not excited to read it. I'm definitely gonna read it. And apparently it's Lauren Roberts' debut novel, which is crazy. And I think they're re-releasing through Barnes & Noble, like I think they're re-releasing a new version on November 7th. So I'm excited to read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Another couple fantasy series that I want to read. The first one is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I hear really great things about that. I hear it's more of a gothic fantasy. The second one actually came out recently, so if I like the first one, I want to read the second one. If I don't like the first one, I'm not going to read the second one. That one's kind of a new fantasy series that is getting a lot of buzz right now, so I feel like I want to know what the buzz is about, and I like when a series has like just started, so I feel like I can jump into the hype when it's happening, as opposed to ACOTAR. I'm kind of late to that, kind of not. I would have loved to read it when everybody else was reading it, so I am not going to miss that opportunity with One Dark Window or Powerless. The other fantasy I'm going to read by the end of this year is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Yarros. I've heard wonderful things about this book. I have heard that it's like not as high stakes, not as actiony. It's more about the romance, which I just need to be in the right mood for that, because sometimes I need like a little bit of action to feel intrigued. So that's kind of why I've put it off for so long, but I am very excited to read it. I've heard wonderful things. I've heard it's written so beautifully and lyrically, which again isn't usually my thing, but I am still too intrigued to not try it. So if you've read it, I'm very curious to know what your thoughts were on that. So the next one is kind of a random one, and it's not one that I see on BookTube or Book Talk very often, but that is Moscow X by David McCloskey. So McCloskey. There's a story to this one. This is the second one in like an interconnected series, I believe. I don't know if they're interconnected actually. They might have nothing to do with each other. But the first one is Damascus Station, which I read 2 years ago, I believe. And the story to it is really interesting because I basically was just very fascinated at the time with like CIA and Syria. And so I went to my dad. My dad is like a human library, and I said I wanted a book about like a CIA agent with like action, and I wanted to like learn about Syria, and maybe there's like a little bit of romance in it. And he was like, I have just the book. He like literally had a book just off the top of his mind, and that was Damascus Station. And it has all of those things, and it's written by a retired CIA agent, David McCloskey, and it just gives like a really interesting insight into how the CIA works. And there was a review on that book that said like, I can't believe the CIA let them publish this because of how accurate it is. It was a really fascinating book. I gave it a 4 stars. I think there were some times where it got a little dull, but I still enjoyed it because there was action and there was a little romance, which was really sweet, and the CIA parts were really fascinating, and it talked a little bit about Syria. So this book is about Russia and Moscow, obviously, and I think it's going to be a very similar vibe with a CIA agent in Russia. CIA officers Sia and Max enter Russia under commercial cover to recruit Vladimir Putin's money man. That's gonna be good. I'm very excited to read this. It's very different from anything else I read, so it's gonna be a good like break or palate cleanser in between fantasy books or romance books. So if you're interested, I highly recommend this series. Well, I recommend reading the first one because it was very interesting. I don't think the two are related at all, so you could read this one along with me and not have to read the other one. So the last book that I want to read this year is The Predator by RuNyx. I think. I probably pronounced that wrong. But it's an enemies to lovers dark romance, and it's a mafia romance, and I am in the mood for mafia romances for some reason, but I have something to say. How, if you read mafia romances, you have to tell me how in the world you read these books and you don't picture Michelle Marone for every single MMC, the guy from 365 Days. How do you not picture him as every single one? Because I'm reading this, I just started it, and I'm like just picturing him. But like, I don't think that's correct. I think he has like blue eyes in this book. He's just like the automatic mafia leader that I think of in any scenario. And I'm okay with that actually, because I love him. I should actually read 365 Days. I have it. I really want to read 365 Days too, but I don't know if that's going to happen this year. Didn't happen last year, didn't happen the year before. But I do want to know what's actually in the book as opposed to just watching the movie. I started reading The Predator, and you know what I love? I love a book that hooks you in like the first few pages. I was immediately hooked and I can't wait to read it. And it's a series. It's a pretty long series, so we'll see if I continue the series. This came out in 2020. That is a total of 12 books. It's very ambitious, but I have read 6 books in 1 month before, so it's not totally unrealistic, but I'd really have to put my whole you know what into it to get this list done. And who knows, because I'm very much a mood reader, so I might change my mind. Those are the books that I want to finish by the end of the year. I'm very curious to know what your books are that you want to finish by the end of the year. Even if it's just one more book, that's amazing. I'm just very curious to know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you thought about them. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're always up to date on my next video. And I hope you feel so elevated, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!